Okay, looks like I'm finally connected up. Hello everybody, it's Gen 608. This is another session in the Unconditional Surrender solo playthrough using the Cripple UK Collapse the USSR strategy line. If you like what you see here, hit the thumbs up button. It helps the algorithm of YouTube, keeps me motivated to keep doing this. Oh, excuse me. And if you really like what you see, go ahead and subscribe and hit the notify button, then you'll know when I'm going to schedule the next stream. As my real life schedule is helter-skelter, and in every which direction that you can think of. Only way that you'll know when I'm going to stream again is to actually subscribe and hit that notify button, because sometimes it's a week, sometimes it's a day. You never know. It just depends on what days I am not working. All right, we were in November of 1942. The Soviets had been collapsed. I believe it was in September. We're not going to be doing any new wars here. So we'll scroll over here real quick. As you can see, the Soviets and the Germans are now lining up for their December 44 restart. So slowly but surely we're just moving over here. Some Germans are leaving to go deal with the pesky British, who decided to invade, push the Italians out of Suez, and are now trying to establish themselves back in Egypt. The Germans have brought an armored unit down with the Italian Navy doing the work there, which is why we are... Why are we at 4? Huh, I don't remember running him up to 4. Now, I don't remember why I did that, but must have been a supply thing that I have to go back and look at the previous video and see if I said why. I know I used up 2 sorties to get here. And then I think I have like 2 Germans, 3 Italians, 2 Italians here. Yeah, should only be. I don't know. Don't know what I'm doing there as far as supply goes. But the Germans are somewhat limited in that because of the supply situation, they can't supply everybody forever, which is why I have Turks moving down here to try and help. I also need to probably send this Turk temporarily down to this port over here. Because he now can threaten to go in and take Kuwait and then have a foothold to try and get to the Italians. And the Americans do have a surprise attack marker. And you might think a garrison's not that great, but if I don't keep that Italian in supply, yeah, it could be a problem. And it's very likely that the Italian supply line could be cut here, because I'm not in like Haifa or Beirut doing supply on that side. I'm kind of in the middle here. So, with that in mind, I'm probably going to move at least 3 Turks. I might need to flip them over. So I'm going to give a point to the Turks. I'm going to give a point to the Italians. 1, 2, 3. Don't think I need to give a point to the Spanish. That's right, I did get the Spanish to join in against the Brits. So this establishment of the British in the Middle East is probably not going to work out real well, because now I have to spend resources, and I don't have that many on defending Gibraltar as well. Alright, so I think that's enough for now. We are in... The Germans are at +5, and I'm at +2. And the question would be, do you use up your partisans here to try and recover a factory, or do you save them in order to try and do something down here? And I think I'm going to save them to threaten to do a major breakout out of the Middle East. So I'm going to take my chances here. As the Germans, since I'm only at 1 lost factory, I don't want to waste my submarine. I'd rather wait till I actually lose a factory in the following turn to just get it right back. Because I'm already at an advantage of +5 to +2. So that's what the logic is there. And they got a DD, so Germany factory loss would have gone down, and they did pop the UK's up to 6 lost factories. So they did cut into their economy. Strategic move with the Germans. Now that I think of it, that one can move. I have 1, 2, and I see moved one in here 3. Where's the other German armored unit? And this one's here and has to be rebuilt for 5. Okay. So, looks like maybe just one too many. Oh, no, this armored unit was here in case the British get the... Nope, nope. Undo that. I'm not going to do that. Undo that, undo that. Undo! Thank you. There we go. Now we're going to go grab one of my Eastern Front infantries. I'm going to take the German 9th Infantry. And we're going to run it down into Spain here. And the reason why I can go adjacent to Gibraltar is because he's in a fort. So he doesn't have any zones of control out here. Now, where do I have the Americans? Well, I do have the Americans in a position to possibly invade into Spain, too. That's interesting. So, that's another reason why I want to get a German infantry down into Spain. Alright, the West really doesn't have it's too far. Do I have anything to build? I don't have anything to build for the West. Don't have to save any points for the British for the for anything. I'm going to have some problems with my supply lines here because my convoy's up to 3. If he gets through on any of it, he's probably going to want to suppress my air, so I can't really do a major offensive. Nope, I don't think I see one for the West. For the Soviets, since we're at peace, what you do is you take expensive units like this, because you only have 17 points, and you just like rail the armored unit to the front somewhere. I don't know, like there. To save those 2 production points from on the moving side and building side. Oh, come on. Crazy thing. Come on, come on, come on. Get him down there. There we go. Thank you. So we're done there. So now we get to do the Axis. Now, as you can see, it's poor weather in the warm zone, which is where Spain is. So over here by Gibraltar, the best I could be would be 1, 2 for isolation, 3, 4. I could throw in a ground support, 5. Okay. -1 for the city, which would be +4. -1 for the weather, which would be +3, and then halved. Which is the best I can roll. If I roll a 6 at +3, I get a 9, halved down to a 5. He's a +2. The worst he can get is a 3. So on a 6-1 split, I can flip him and then do absolutely nothing else. Which is one of the reasons why I didn't give any more points to the Spanish, because it's not going to matter. So what I am going to do with the Spanish, though, is I'm going to make him roll dice everywhere I can. I don't want him to land and move forward here, so I'm just going to go backstop that for now. We're going to move the German armored down here to hopefully be able to help do an assault next turn. And other than that, we are going to I'm seriously thinking about I might have to go ahead and invade Greece, simply because I need to get things in the cup. So if you scroll down here to the bottom underneath the cards here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's 6 no events, 1 political success, and then basically 1 political success for each side. So 6, 7, 8, 9. It's 2 and 9 for the Germans, and maybe as good as 2 and 8 for the Brits, depending on what the Germans pull. At worst, 1 and 8. And from a pro marker standpoint with the Germans, they really need to affect anything useful. They really need to get Sweden in, which requires 2 successes. That may be very hard to come by. So I'm not sure if I should go ahead and get Greece or not. From the British standpoint, if they get the political... and if you remember, at the end of last turn, the Soviets were the ones who took the chance, made it 2 successes for each side out of 9 for the Germans and out of 8 for the British, as long as the Germans don't pull a political success. Because I was looking at possibly activating Greece to tie up that German armored for a few turns here. I don't know that I can actually reinforce Greece with anything from the British, but my goal is to try and get to Port Said with the Brits. And the Germans know this, so they have to come up with a plan to stop that. And unfortunately in the desert it's fair. But the British have good air, and I have depleted air. So, where's my other aircraft? 1, 2. Those are the Eastern Front. Didn't I send another aircraft down to Italy somewhere? Yes, I did. Alright, so that was a mistake. Well, I put him there to help intervene in the central med, I think is what I had in mind. Alright, so, well. I didn't do that right. Did I? No, I didn't. 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to move the Turk along over here. Oh, come on! And then this Turk is going to actually... See, if he lands there, he's -1 because he's British. He's +1 because he's British, -2 because he's a garrison. And then he's minus another 1 for attacking a unit. So he'd be a net -2. He gets +2 for the Navy. So he'd be a 0. He could throw a tank. He could be a +1. No, he'd be a +0 because it's poor weather. Right? So it's poor weather in here. If he wants to land here and attack there, I still am at my +2, and I still have a chance to react. So I think that's what we're going to do. We're just going to stay there. Because the Italians can hold him up, and then the Turks can come down and help. And hopefully I can get some Germans over here quickly. So this guy's not going to help in Greece. His job is to go here and step put. And that means that he's 1-2 to an overland supply route up here through Bulgaria and then on through Romania and back to Germany. So for this turn he's in full supply, and then next turn I can take him and rail him either down here towards Istanbul or towards Egypt, or over towards, like if the British decide to go ahead and land, then I can put him over in Baghdad, and hopefully we can kick them out of the Middle East in the next couple of turns. It's going to be hard to do because we do not have the air power to do major damage to him. So these guys are all going to defend probably at 5. So now the question is how do I go about curtailing his ability to break out of here? Huh. That's a toughie. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I don't have anything else to defend over here with. So I could be 4, 5, 6. It'd be +5 to +5, hoping for luck. And then he could be +3 to +4. He still has his partisans, right? We saved the partisans. So by saving the partisans, he could get a really good attack on my German armored unit if I don't make it. Youch! This is gonna hurt a lot. Well, we're going at 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, -1. So I could be +8 to +5, trying to force a retreat. Do we goes for it with the Germans? What the heck? This is supposed to be for entertainment as well as things. So what I'm going to do, go here. I'm going to call for an assault. I know people would say, no, 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 but this is his only supply route. And then this Turk is also going to assault. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to throw in a whole bunch of assets here. So we're going to see how this goes. So I'm going to throw in a ground support for the Turk. That gets me up to +5. We know that the British are going to throw in at least their airplane and their tanks, right? So that's where we're at right now, +5 to +5. But because I called it an assault, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I'm a 4, 5, and a ground support 6, -1 for the city. But now I can throw in my airplane, assuming it gets through. That makes it look a little better. And then I'm going to throw in my heavy artillery. Which means he cannot, like, AA me and flip one of my guys. And I have he has a, what, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He has a 10 in 36 chance, if everything gets through, of keeping Suez. So with that in mind, they need to go all in and throw in their free forces so that they have now, what is it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 16 and 36 chance that they'll hang on to Suez and keep their supply line open. And then give them a chance to do counterattacks back. All right, so that's what we're going to do. Everybody's going to basically commit barn, commit everything we've got, or everybody's all in. We're going to confirm, and we commit. There will be an air battle here, where they're actually at an advantage, the British are. An AS2 is not enough to make my airplane not go through, so I was a grand total of +9. 2 for German, 2 for tank, 2 for heavy artillery, that's 6. An additional tactor is 7. 8 was the ground support, 9, 10 was the air support. So I was a +10, -1 for attacking the city, right? Rolled a 5, +9 is a 14. he wasn't defending very badly. He had a +6. He had 1 because he's a UK unit, +1 for my free forces, +2 for the tank, +2 for the air support, but he rolled a 1. So again, this game is about splits, not about the individual die rolls you make. It really matters. You can roll 12 ones in a row on your side of it, and if he only rolls, 12 ones and 2s, he's not going to push you away. He has to have a bigger split. In general, the split seems to be, from what I can tell, you need to be a 3-point differential on the dice with the die roll modifiers. So if you both roll the same number, let's just say you make that rule, whatever one guy rolls, that's what everybody rolls. If you're always at +3, you will at least force a retreat. So that's as far as I can pretty much tell. It seems to be that way on the table. If you can beat him by +3, with your die roll modifiers, the split between the two of you, if it's at least +3, it's a retreat. So now the British are they're basically hurting. There's nothing they can do here. Because, okay, see, if I retreat down here to this coastal hex, I get myself isolated. And I don't want to do that. So I'm going to go here, but that's going to actually end up leaving these guys all in low supply. Now, if I had moved down to this space over here, where the little 31 is sitting, but I moved onto that coastal hex, he would not have taken it with his armor. He moves his infantry down instead. Goes 1, 2, 3, 4, and then attacks me 5, 6, 7 at isolation with his airplane and everything else. Now, since he did move into a good defensive position, I'm going to take it with somebody that's going to most likely be able to hold it against his counterattacks, because he's going to come back and counterattack me. So even when he throws his partisans on here, I still will be a +2. He'll be probably doing a shuffle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Maybe not. Might attack twice at +3 to +2, and then attack once at +4 to +2. Maybe once at +4, and save his couple of +3s for afterwards. Okay, that's probably what he should do. All right. So now I have to displace units. Okay. So we're just going to displace to here, because we really can't get that far. Yeah, we can't get any farther than the South Atlantic Ocean. So we might as well just stay, since we have nothing actually to build, we're just going to put the Americans here. Same thing with the fleet. Now the airplane, up at the top, it says eliminate unit. Okay, that is not in the rules. You can't just willy-nilly eliminate the unit. If you have a retreat route, the rules specifically state, if you have a retreat route, you must take it. Okay? I have seen several players, because the computer programming can't really tell. As you can see, it's saying that I could fly this airplane like up here somewhere where we know it's not in supply, or way over here by Tobruk where we know it's not in supply. So it's there are limitations to what the computer can do on this platform. So it looks like you can fly it off into some place where you're not in supply, but you can't. And it also gives you this eliminate button, which is only supposed to be used when you can't get to some place that's in supply. Then by rule, you have to eliminate the unit. But I do have a limited supply source at Cairo when I recaptured the city, because it's an overseas factory. To show you what I'm talking about, rid of the units. You can see right here, there's a little factory in Cairo. That makes that a limited supply source. So I do have a supply source for the airplane. So the airplane must go either here or here. And just for kicks, I just throw it there. It's not going to matter. It's probably going to be eliminated anyway during my half of the turn, unless I take back Suez. So you know, there is that. All right, so the Germans so far are very happy. Um, the Italians are not going to need to use all 13 for replacements. So now I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to put who. So I can't really afford to put any more Italians in the field. I'm having trouble supplying the ones I got. Well, he could go over there, so I'm thinking I'm going to put the German infantry in Alexandria. See, what I have to watch out for here is the British could do a left hook, so to speak. Okay, you took Suez, fine. We don't care. We go through the Italian and go capture Alexandria, and then bring a fleet in that way and just supply ourselves across the Med. It might work, it might not, but it's like, okay, now the Germans have to, because I can hand a fleet then in. I can bring a fleet over to this side to base in Alexandria to supply myself. I can put maybe like the American fleet can sail around the Horn and end up in like Cyprus to intervene in his supplying people in the Middle East because I'm cutting them off from the Egyptian side. So that could be very dangerous for the Germans. So I think that's what I'm going to do with this guy here, is he's going to go ahead and go sit in Alexandria. Because that's a two-front port. That's a port on both C-Zone 25 and 26. So I think I want to make sure you can't take that one back. It's going to be very hard. He's got to blow up the armored unit and then get through these two garrisons to get anywhere. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to take this Italian garrison now, and he's going to move back here so that if he does get lucky and blows through, he's not going to have enough movement points to kill all these units in rough terrain and across canals and all that good stuff. We're going to take this Turk and we're going to drop him into there because he can be in supply and be able to defend better. At worst, he's like a 0 because, well, it depends on where he places partisan, but yeah, I don't mind if he places partisans to blow up a Turk. Be my guest. Okay. So now the question is do I waste the Italian air to try and chip the British down to 3? Because I'm at -4 and he's only at -1, so odds are I'm probably going to end up taking 2. Or I can leave the Italian air where it is as a threat to defend my my Italian on the front there, which would make him have to spend some sorties to come after me. Decisions. I think I want to keep him because chipping him down to 3 isn't going to stop his attacks. Let's see. He's going to get 3, 6. He's going to attack once. Let's assume he's going to play the partisan on Suez. So that means my armor's a 2. I don't have any German aircraft and no way to get any German aircraft there to support the German. So he's going to be a 2. And he's not going to have a retreat route, but he's not isolated because he's adjacent to a friend. So he's going to be able to attack me with the BF and a tank because he still has a tank left. So that would be 3. And then 2 from an airplane, 4, 5, -1. So he's going to be able to attack me up +4 to +2 3 times. Or no, 1 time. And then he will be +3 to +2 2 more times. So if I take out his airplane, that means he only gets 3 attacks out of the airplane at best. instead of 4. Yep, the Italians go after the British airplane. Try and limit the number of attacks he can use that airplane on. Who knows, we might get super lucky. Oh, we got super lucky. I rolled a 3, but he rolled a 1. So that was super lucky for the Italians, and now they're going to go take out another one, because that's one less full-strength attack that the British get on either the Italians or the German army. So I got very lucky here. This is not normally the way things go for me when I'm trying to fight this battle with the Axis. Invariably, my airplanes roll the 1s, and his airplanes roll the 5s and 6s and 4s. So normally when I'm doing this against an opponent with the Germans, my aircraft are not nearly as productive as they were here. Okay, so now he's got basically a +4 to +2, and then he'll have a +2 to a +2. He'll have 2 attacks with halfway decent odds, and everything after that is going to be like 0 to +2 and a +1 to +2. So I just think of how he wants to do this and what he wants to do. It's almost like you basically have to go after the armored unit and hope that you get lucky, because there's no way that you're going to get through with only 2 air supports. I don't think you're going to get to Alexandria, because it's 4 movement points to here. Force the Italians to retreat. You'd be 3, 4, 5, -2. You'd be +3 to a +2, because he does have a tank. He'll have a tank in Alexandria, so that'll be a +4 in Alexandria. Or a +2 if I can get the partisan on there and do the invasion that way. This is a sure known thing, and I might actually pull it off, so yeah, I think I go here. Okay, so now the rest of the German move. What do we do? We already figured out that if he wants to spend in a surprise attack marker and get here, that we're going to have time to get back here, because we have an armored unit that I can rail there next turn. I moved this armored unit down. I think. Oh, this armored unit. This armored unit needs to get on the road. I want to leave him on the railroad for the future, in case I suddenly find out I need to rail him quickly someplace. Doing this little clippity-cloppity move. Clippity-cloppity move. Alright. He's happy. Was there anybody else that was traveling eastward? Or westward? Yes. Yes, I was going to take this infantry unit. To Trieste. So if I suddenly decide I need to move an infantry unit down into the Middle East, I can. And these 2 infantry units are just streaming to the west. Out of general principle. Interface is slowing down. Too much junk on my computer. That's why I do have a computer supposedly coming sometime at the end of June. So sometime this summer I will probably not be streaming for a couple weeks while I transfer all my saved data from the computer I'm on now to the new one. It does take some time, just physical time, for it to write everything into a new folder on the new computer. Don't let anybody fool you. We're talking about hours, and then I want to make sure that I have everything organized the way I really want it organized. I have to reinstall software that does streaming. I have to reinstall video software that I can use to do editing and all that fun stuff. So, and I'm working to boot, so it's not like I can just sit here for, 3 or 4 days in a row and just get it all set up. I have to do it bit by bit whenever I can each evening. So There'll be a little while, probably sometime near the end of June, whenever the computer gets here. I did order it custom built to make sure that I had the things in it that I really wanted. And with supply chain problems and all the other stuff, yeah, that's where we're at. Still have an airplane up in Norway. Still have this guy here. He does not have enough real. I mean, he could invade with Southampton at the North Sea, but I'm not worried about that. Okay. Sir. So part of me says I should go ahead and do this with the Spanish, but I did spend 1 point to move this guy up here, which means I only have 3 points left. And 3 points left with the Spanish means if I were to get an AA, one of these guys would be flipped, and I wouldn't be able to flip him over because I'd run out of points, because I only have 3 points left. And it doesn't matter if this guy's in supply or not. He can be at limited supply. Oh, that's why this is always a gamble to do this at Tangier, and I'll show you why when I get to the Western allies and what I'm going to do and see if it works. So, since I'm probably going to just get beat up here in the Middle East, unless I get lucky and push the German armor, kill the German armor, odds are these guys are just going to go into limited supply and he's just going to chip me away until I go away. Alright, setting up for the Greek campaign. Six, 8. I can always rail. No, I can't. Alright, so this is just... Where am I? Who do I have that I'm still moving? He's not letting me select something, so I still have somebody. Oh, this guy I never said he was done. So get him in a... This is more to get... I want to get one of these infantry like into Antwerp instead of the Africa army, because I like the Africa army to be a mobile reserve on the French front. And then the other infantry unit that I'm marching over here is ultimately going to probably end up down here in Spain, along with this one. Because if we end up in North Africa, it'll be like one in Gibraltar and one like in Tangier to, keep the West at bay, kind of thing. So that's why those infantry units are marching down there, marching over this way. I think I'm done. I have 16 left, which is like 5 airplanes or 4 airplanes in the convoy, depending on what I have to do. So, or if I have to flip over some guys. I do not have anything in my mobilization box, so I'm not worried about that. So yeah, I think we're done. Also, I might only do 3 in order to be able to do diplomacy. Depends on how the battles go, and whether I do diplomacy or if I just build myself out and skip diplomacy this turn. Alright, Germans are done. We'll pass. No, we're not going to get rid of. Stop that. We're not going to voluntarily eliminate anything. Definitely have to spend at least 3 in the Middle East, because I have to get the German aircraft back. Okay, so first things first, you do the supply all with no convoys. That gets rid of all your landline supplies. So now all you have to do is think about these. Yep, he's going to stay there. This guy's going to go through Port Said. This guy's going to go through Port Said. These 2 guys are going to go through Oslo. I have to try and conserve my sorties up there. He has to go through Helsinki. I was going to go through Port Said. He needs to go through Port Said. And this guy needs to stay here. So I'll go up to 6 and 5 this turn. And hopefully we'll get rid of the British so I don't have to keep all these guys in full supply. But I had to keep the Italian. What I did is I added the Italian that's over, I think that's where the first is. I better go check and make sure that's the first. Yeah, it's the first that's here in Basra. I'm putting him in full supply. Reason being is if the British do decide to come in with this garrison unit, so let's say they say we're going to land at Kuwait and move there, and then, you know, sacrifice the units in Egypt to rebuild them for an offensive out of Iraq, or bring the Americans around and drop them in Basra behind me. Well, if the Italians are at full strength and he lands and doesn't push that Turk away, then I can just move the Turk. I can have the Turk attack and die, and then have the Italian move in and attack at isolated odds and use his tank and everything else. So the idea was to make sure that I had a minor counteroffensive, if nothing else. So I'm going to go ahead and run up my supply rise here. I'm going to probably end up with some Italians out of supply very soon. All right, so we're going to go ahead and do that. And now we're into the west. So things are not good. Things are not good at all. We do have partisans. So I think we go for our broke here. And put the partisans here. Right? Hello? There we go. So now he's going to be -2. We're going to go for broke, trying to get back to Suez. So we're going to attack here. And we throw in the kitchen sink so that we're +4 to +2. So look at the combat table. Not very good odds. 6 and 5 is 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Not quite 50% on the first attack. And it will only be worse going forward. And we were extremely lucky. We rolled a 6 +4. He only could roll a 3 plus his 2, so we got him retreated. He can't retreat, so he's flipped. So now he's going to be a 0. So I'm going to go ahead and... do I throw in the airplane, or do I just go after him 0 to 0? I think I want to throw in the airplane because I want to make sure that I get the hex. So we're just going to go ahead and attack again. Throw in the airplane and confirm. Commit. Got a no effect. All right. So now I have one more attack on him. This time it's just going to be 0 to 0 because I don't have anything left to add. And there was no effect. So the BEF didn't get it done. Okay. So that's bad news. Good news is I can still try to get my supply. So I'm going to attack here. I'm only a net +1 to his 0. Confirm. Didn't work. And I only get one more attack, so this is it, guys. Because I don't have any movement points. I only have 2 movement points left after this. So either I make it here or the German Panzer holds out and... Alright, so I got him. Got another defender retreat. Took everything that I had to do it. I've got to take Suez so I can get myself back in supply. The problem with taking Suez and putting myself back in supply is that I can't really do anything with this armored unit. If I don't go back to Cairo, then next turn they're just going to recapture Cairo, and then it's going to be a real tough fight to get across it. If I move back into Cairo, I don't really have a lot that I can move into Suez to defend it, because all I've really got is a garrison unit, which means I could be fighting this battle again. So that becomes a real quandary. Do I really want to stay here? He doesn't have an armored unit handy. So I think I want to try and stay and keep doing this fight back and forth and see how long we can go. He's going to have me outnumbered in sorties next turn. So I might only last till the beginning of 43. But I'm going to set up another distraction here in just a second and see if it works. So, since I'm allowed to move out of no enemy zone of control, I'm going to do this. And I'm going to end my turn there. Okay. Now, so I've only got 16 points left with them. I was trying to look for who I have where that I can move stuff around with. 4th convoy. We do have the 8th fleet. Alright, so the 8th fleet has to move to here. Just move there. And then we're going to we're going to see if this works. Get an airplane in there. He does not have a surface action, so I can just do this. Alright, so this British convoy is going to move to here. This British convoy is going to move to here. God. Oh. Maybe I want to go ahead and move home fleet with it. Oh, no, I don't. No, I don't. No, I don't. I don't have to worry about escorts, so I don't want to do that. Home fleet. No, 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 no. No, we just want this convoy to go to here. It's driving me nuts. There we go. Confirm naval plan. Had to get the convoy out of there. Reason being is that now I'm going to have this American airplane be naval transported. Since he doesn't have a surface action marker, I don't have to worry about having these guys escorted. So I can just move him into Gibraltar. And I used a British convoy so that the convoy could, do the supply run. And we're just going to stay there. So now I have an almost full guy to supply things here. And then what we're going to do, people have asked me about how is this done, so I'm going to show you. I'm going to do an invasion at Tangier. The first thing you have to do is you take surprise attack marker. And you go click in the C-zone number. And then don't pick the C-zone to put your surprise attack marker in. Pick another hex. And then it will ask you, put it in C-zone 16 or put it in the hex. You want to put it in the C-zone. That makes it allowed for invasion. The reason why you don't want to put it in the number is because the fleets move on the numbers. And then you can't really pay attention to where your surprise attack markers are. So it gets hard to track things. Then the Americans, being Americans, are going to go here. And they're going to use the convoy. And they're going to use the American fleet. And they're going to do an amphibious invasion. Now once you do that, you notice how I had to select naval transport first. And then I had to do my, set up and say, no, I'm doing an amphibious invasion with these guys. And then I have to click on, you should always hit the amphibious invasion before you do the naval air escort, because it asks you a second time, and you might miss that. So now it's like, well, where can I invade? You see where all those zeros are? That's as far as I'm allowed to go to invade. Fortunately, that's here. And fortunately, where I want to go is into Tangier. And now because he has no way of intercepting me, I just get to go straight there. Okay? So now I am a net of -1, because I'm -1 for being an amphibious invasion. I'm +1 for naval support and poor weather, so those canceled out. I'm +1 for being a French UK unit, but I'm -1 in poor weather, and I'm -1 in city rob. He is -2 for being reduced, and -2 because he's in low supply, because he didn't take Gibraltar. So he's a net of -4. He can become a -3. If I throw in my airplane, which is the reason why I moved the American airplane there, now you know why I did that. I go up to a 0, and I throw in a tank. So now I'm at a +1. So now the combat table, there's only a 1 in 36 chance that he will hold the hex. Otherwise, I force at least a retreat. Okay, pretty good odds for me. If he throws in his ground support here, it becomes damn. It becomes a 3. Oh no, it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's 7 in 36 versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What? How does it stay the same? Did I not count right? Oh yeah, it's 6, 7, 8, 9. So if he throws in the ground support, it's a 9 in 36 chance that he holds it. And if he doesn't throw in the ground support, it's a 7 in 36 chance. Okay? Now, before you go ahead and just say, well, you got to throw it in to hold it, I mean, yeah, you probably will. But you always have to think about this. This is your last one, okay? Your other ground support that you used earlier, to take Suez that didn't hold, is not coming back until February. Should be 3 turns without one. This one might come back in a turn, but it might not. You have to assume probably not. So then you have to look at your other miners and where are you going to be vulnerable next turn. Okay. In this case, I want the one in, basically it's a 1 in 4 shot, 9 in 36, to stop the invasion and keep basically shutting down sort of an Operation Torch before it gets started. So that's what we're going to do as the axis. If I'd held out in Suez, this would be less of a decision to even think about. But because I didn't, this is important because if the Americans get into Tangier, okay, then they are going to keep Gibraltar from being able to be isolated, and it's going to be very hard nut to crack. The Germans will essentially have to declare war on French North Africa so that they can get to Tangier, so they can get to isolation on the Americans. Yes, it's that convoluted, people. And that's what 1943 is when this particular situation. It's a convoluted mess where the West is trying to, they prick you here, they prick you there. They, looks like they have a major sword blow coming, and all of a sudden they turn and go to the left, and you're like, huh, what? And you're something you're not ready for. The West has the advantage of their fleets being able to just kind of sail around, and in a couple turns they can have the front be completely on the other side of the map, without you even realizing that they can do it. And that's what you have to use to try and keep the Germans off balance. You're not probably going to get your major offensive to work here in 1943 because the Germans have just, like 4 extra airplanes to fly around, and they've got all 5 of their armor they can flop around on you. So you can't really get going anywhere unless it's on the fringes. I mean, the direct invasion of Europe is just silly. You'll just get kicked right off of the continent. But in places like the Middle East or Iraq or Norway, places where you have to supply by sea, and that's what the Germans have to do for North Africa. They have to supply the Germans by sea, and the Italians as well, because there's no overland route. So I've often thought that it might not be worth collapsing the Soviet Union sometimes, and just make sure you have the route open from the Middle East up through Turkey, around the southern parts of Russia, and on into to Germany that way for 1943, and just fight that battle with the Russians all the time. I'm not sure that it would be a good idea from a strategic warfare standpoint. But from a not having to worry about supplying my guys through the med standpoint, it is. Which one's more important? For me, it's not having to roll the dice against the Soviet strategic warfare for, what is it, 12 turns, 13 turns it's going to be this game. Having at least a dozen turns of not having to roll the die against the Soviets means that your economy is not going to be all that off in 1944 when the main blows start to come. Okay, so we're going after it. +1 net to -3. We confirm. We commit. And I rolled a 6, and he rolled a 5. And this is what I was talking about. I have a +1. He has a -3. That's a net difference of 4 on the die roll. So if we're even close, I'm going to at least get a retreat on him because I have so much more difference in the split. He's got to subtract 3 from whatever he rolled. So even if he'd rolled a 6, -3 is a 3, and a 7 to a 3 is a DR. He just rolled 1 less than me, which makes it a 2, and a 7 to a 2 is a DD. So not only did I take it, but and then now this is a tricky thing. I tend to not have real good control of my mouse when those hexes are so small. And I do that so that you can kind of see. I always zoom in or out a couple because of I want to see sort of the bigger picture and make sure I don't miss, leave a hole in my lines or whatever. And then when I need to do something like this, I'll zoom in a couple. And then come over here, and then I can see how now I can get the thing into the hex. And we'll tell him, okay, you landed there. And then they're like, now you can rebase the fleet. And I'm like, why would I rebase the fleet? It's going to stay right there. So I just hit the same button because I want to be able to supply through the American fleet from there. And so there we are. The Americans are, in town. Now, if I really wanted to, I think I really want to, oh no, I didn't want to do it that way. Can I undo the fleet thing? Yeah. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the fleet back where it came from, and you'll see why in a second. Because I'm going to do what I call shenanigans. Okay. The American fleet doesn't have to be at full strength here, but we're going to take the American convoy. It's going to not going to be escorted. It's going to go to here. And then we're going to take the second RAF. Naval transport. And what we're going to do is we're going to go land here at Tangier. And we're just going to stay there. So now I have British and American air. Okay. The Germans are going to have to bring their aircraft down to try and get through to Gibraltar. Gibraltar is not isolated. I definitely control both sides of the strait, so if I want to move a fleet through the strait, like into Malta or something, to start messing with Italian supply, I can. So I'm got some things going here. Okay. Like if I wanted to maybe sail, this British aircraft, I could try to sail it across the Med and drop it into Famagusta. And in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it could possibly get down here and mess with his aircraft. I don't know. It's just things that you might be able to do. As it is, I'm not going to have an invasion capability over here, right? All my convoys here are at 4. Oh my goodness. So I'm not going to be able to supply people. All that work I did to take Suez, and I'm not going to be able to supply them. Oh my goodness. Well, 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 that's a problem. I'm going to have people at low supply. Oh dear. Who do I have that's got any kind of... Can I get anybody in there with just 3? What does this guy have? He's got 2. He could end there with 4. What do I got up here? What's he got on him? He's got 5. He's got 5. So British Americans would have to supply everything up north. Geez, this is a... I can only supply 2 units here. So it's got to be the British units. Because you can't get to me on the other side for a turn. Okay, it's logistics nightmare time. So this guy... No, we don't need an escort at this point. We just need to see how far we can get. I think I can only get to here. If I'd realized this, I wouldn't have used that guy to move the airplane. Because I'm going to end up in the same situation anyway. And then he's going to actually go into Suez. No, 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 not yet, not yet. Undo, not you. So we're going to use this British convoy. Oh, God. Click on the infantry. Let's zoom out. I'm having troubles with being too close and not seeing what I'm just seeing. Alright, so I want this British garrison to use naval transport. British one. The American one. The British one, because I want the Americans to do supply next turn, supplies, if I can survive this. Okay, I don't need... We'll go ahead and use... let's go ahead and use the Med Fleet, doesn't matter. Nope, nope. I'm just transporting things. I don't need to confirm. I don't need an escort to do this, because he can't intercept me. I need the fleet to get there for supply purposes for next turn. So then we're going to go here. Right? Confirm that. And then we're going to go back here with the rest of our turn. Confirm that. This is shenanigans you have to do with the West in order to make everything work. So now I'll be able to supply 2 units here. And the other 2 will go to low supply. Limited supply. Which means it's going to be fairly easy for him to take back Suez, even with these miners. But he's not going to be able to have a strong presence in Alexandria and a strong presence on Suez. Which means I should be able to break through to one or the other. In other words, it's a game of screwing with the German mines. All right? It's just a matter of what you can get away with. All right, so now I'm down to 15 with the British. I'm going to have to do 3-6 at least. I want to take the American fleet here. And he's going to actually come in here. And that's to prevent, like, the Italian air from just bombing my convoy and not letting me be able to move it next turn. Because I'm going to need to move it out to, like, bring in the American convoy so I can supply more guys. So it's a real tough thing to do with just one port. But he dodged a bullet on me going after Basra. But I now have I'm kind of established here. It's going to be harder to get through me here. And I'm kind of established here. The Germans, when do they get their surface action marker back? They're going to have their surface action marker next turn in December. So I'm going to have things in place to deal with that, because I'm not going to be able to just move willy-nilly like I am right now. So I think I'm going to have the 8th Fleet. He'd end up with 3 sorties anyway, so he's just going to go here. I don't have any convoy at all in here. So I think... man, this is going to be tough. I'm going to take this guy. No, he could use airplanes. Let's undo this. I'll let this guy go down to 3. This guy could go down to 3. Yeah, I think I want to have it so that I can move my guys in at 4. Which would be able to do 2. Yeah, I think we'll... let's see, what am I going to do? I'm going to go 3, 6, 9... 6, 9, 9, 9, 9. And it's going to be 2 more things, but then I wouldn't have to move here. I'd end up at 4 either way. So yeah, let's just go ahead and move. So I'll leave this guy here in case I need to move another garrison somewhere. But I'm not going to move another. I'm not going to move a garrison out of here. I'm not going to hold the Middle East that long, I don't think. But okay, so we're going to move him into Gibraltar. What I'm doing here is I'm trying to set myself up so that when his surface action comes out, all it's going to be able to do is deal with escorting fleets. For my supply here on this side of the Med. So that's what this whole shenanigan thing is. But it's something that a lot of Western players don't pay attention to. And all of a sudden they find themselves going on low supply. Like in my situation here, when I brought that 2-factor, when I brought the American airplane in to get this invasion off, that was my only like 0 sortie convoy. And he ended up doing a lot of duty. First he had to go get the airplane, put it in Gibraltar. Then he had to sail around here, and he's going to do 2 supply runs for the guys in Cairo. The guy in Cairo and the airplane there, and these other 2 are going to have to go to limited supply because I don't have enough convoy points. I have 4 guys to supply. If this had worked better and the BEF would have been here, I might have been able to get to like another port, and then it would be a little bit easier if I have the Suez Canal in these 2 ports, but not right now. So, and then basically I'm trying to rebuild some convoys so I can do the convoy shuffle in the future. But the idea was if I don't want to give him a chance to have me moving a convoy, say, if I'd have left this convoy here and said it go up to 3 and then it moves out to C zone 7, he attacks me with his surface action, forces me to go back into Plymouth and only have like 1 sortie left, so going here wouldn't help. And then he uses airplanes to bomb out my fleet here or whatever. Slowly but surely he can get me out of supply. And out of supply is almost as good. Not as good, but almost as good as isolation, because out of supply means that you're -2. So, there is that. So that's the games we're going to be playing on this end. And then we're going to be playing similar games here where I have to shuffle convoys around to try and keep the majority of my guys in supply. So, yeah, it's a big game of logistics at this point. The nice thing for the Allies is they usually have enough that they can do something about it. Not always, but usually. All right, what do I got here? This guy is 4 sorties. He's at full, but we want to stretch his economy, and it's poor weather, so I might actually even get through. So if we do a bombing run, it'll show me where his airplanes defend, right? So there's nothing I can do other than try and come in, you know, minimum number of spaces in his airspace. So that's usually the way it's done. I mean, I could have done it a hex row earlier if I wanted, but it doesn't really matter. So we confirm that that's what we're going to do. And the Germans don't really want to be bothered. They're going to go ahead and throw that airplane in there and see how they do. They're at a net +0. I'm at a -7, so I'm getting a 1 no matter what I do. And he hit me. So he only needed a 3 or better. There's a 1/3 chance that he'd miss once. Then a 50% chance he misses on the second one. So no big deal. It did what I wanted. It forced a sortie, so now he has to think of where he's going to do his, replenish his airplanes from. Is that the one thing I didn't do with the Germans? 1, 2, 3, 4 in the west, 5. Yeah, 5 and 6. Okay. All right. I think I'm done with the British. I'm done with the west. We've done everything we can do. It's not much, but it's whatever we could do. Do this again, just like do that with everybody. It's supply, no convoy, then you only have to look at the convoy situations. All right, so over here, we have to decide who's going to be in supply. Here in Gibraltar. It's not letting me move the supply bucket. Well, anyway, in Gibraltar, just do it this way so we can see. In Gibraltar, there's no supply possible, so I have to go to there, say use convoy. We don't need to escort. And British aircraft. Use convoy. I don't need escort. And the reason why I'm letting the Americans go at the limited supply this turn is because the why does it think I can supply 4 units over here? I can only supply 2. So the 2 I want to keep in supply is the airplane and the 8th Army. So these 2 are going to draw their supply out of Cairo and be limited supply. And then these guys have to go to no supply. Now if I remember right, if you go supply all, it's going to come back with the 2 that aren't supplyable. I'm trying to remember how the interface works. Yeah, see, then it comes back with the 2 guys that can't do any supply. And then if you go over towards here, You know, you can check and you'll see that there's no sorties left on anybody. So if I had sorties on enough to supply all these, it just would have given me routes, and I could have just said supply all, and I would have been done. The one thing it doesn't let you do is like click on a little button to say no supply, so you have to do like each guy individually, which is a pain in the butt because it flashes the box up again. So the American airplane won't be able to be replenished this turn, but that's okay. It's really there for defense more than any kind of offense because the Americans are on the wrong side of the strait. The idea is the British aircraft and British armored unit, Canadian unit, hopefully now because they're not isolated, can hold out for quite a long time. Okay. And then next turn I will hopefully get enough sorties going on my other convoys and things that I will be able to alleviate the supply situation both here and in the Middle East. But that's our job. Okay, so now we're off to the Soviets, and we want to save for 5 with the Soviets just so they can play in the pool. So we can move 12. We don't need to build at this point. So if we just move 12 guys. Wait a minute. Do I want to do that? Where do I have up here? No, I don't. I want to go here. Go here. This is like just get this out of my way kind of stuff. Make sure you get everybody on a rail line. Oh, you're done. I always like to have my guys on rail lines in case I just want to rail somebody someplace quick. So forward. Get to reserve, so I'll go there. See, that's 13. So I can move a few more. Let's put a couple of infantry on the line here. Where do we go? Let's go down to here. Down to 11. Down to 10. Put him here. 9. Looks like I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, and then I'm going to stop here. So I got lots of turns to rebuild all my stuff. So I'm not in any real hurry. Supply them all. Okay, so where's the replacements? So now the Germans. They have 16. I think I'd like to save 5 to try and play in the Diplomacy Cup. So let's go down here. Well, we're definitely doing, the Italians are easy. They're doing Both are convoys. And their airplane. The Germans want to do this Luftwaffe. Which one's in Sicily? And this Luftwaffe. 4th. So what do they got left? They got 10 left. Which means they can flip over this armored unit and do one more airplane. Well, these airplanes I think are over in the east, or I can do my convoy. I think I'll do my convoy, because if he starts putting something in England... Oh boy, decisions. Do I have anything to build? Nothing to build this turn, I will next turn. I don't know. I think I want to do the convoy. Something tells me to do the convoy because I might not get a chance in the next couple turns. Alright, so I'm confirmed there. The west is easy. The United States just goes freebies, freebies, freebies. The British, with only 15, it's definitely going to be this convoy and this airplane, or two. And then also over here, this is the other. Damn it! Why does it keep doing that? Won't scroll over properly. And then we're going to do this airplane and this convoy. Okay, so now I've got 3 left. It's a matter of which convoy do I want to mess with. Yeah, Bomber Command is going to be out of commission in December. And I'm only going to have 18 points in December too. What do I got coming in? I got nothing for the Allies. What do I got? I've got Free Forces and American tanks. He's going to get another factory. I get another convoy in a couple turns that'll help with the Americans. Just trying to look ahead here to see when all the German stuff. Their paratrooper comes back in February. Submarines, ground support, January and February. They get their surface action back in a factory. We're not getting a whole lot of stuff. The British don't get another factory until May. So this could be tough on them and their economy. Because I don't know how long I can hang on to Cairo. If I end up back down at 7 and 7, I'd be down to 14. Because right now I'm going to be 7 and 2, 18. Yeah, this is going to get... I think my offensive in the Middle East is going to dry up because of lack of production points. So I'm trying to figure out what do I need to do. Where do I need the... I think I need to do the Western Indian Ocean. Because it can go to Gibraltar or to Suez, depending on what we need. So I'll start working on him. And then we're done. And then for the Soviets, I specifically saw, like, let's go ahead and do... Stop. We do a tank and 2 of the shock armies. And that leaves me at 5, which is where I want to be, so I'm done. Upgrades, I am not going to upgrade anything. Living by my stuff. The Americans can build a surprise attack marker. So they will. And then the British can't, so we'll confirm. The Soviets could build things, but they want to be able to go in the diplomacy cup, so they're not going to. Now we're to the Germans, and the Germans are like, well, see if I can get a success out of this. And they pulled the pro-Axis marker. Now, I could make Greece not be pro-Allied. Or I could put a pro marker in Sweden to try and give me a chance next turn. Albeit it'll be 1 in 8 or something. Or maybe 1 in 9 to get Sweden to come in. I really do feel like I need to go try and get Sweden, so I'm going to put a pro marker in Sweden. Because those couple of extra Swedish units garrisoning Norwegian ports, and then the German infantry behind them as sort of the mobile reserve, is a much better defense than what I'm clinging to right now. And in the West, it's kind of like the same thing. If I get either one of these, I can get rid of this political success, or this political influence on them, or maybe I can activate Greece. So we're going to go for it. Pull a marker. What did we get? I think we got a no event. We got a no event. So the Soviets are like, well, a political failure on the West will not activate Sweden. It would basically remove the pro-Greek. So since we want to make it hard for the Germans to just get allies, we want them to attack people. And most of the political failures at this point would not hurt the British because they are not adjacent to anything that can be activated. Right? I mean, Ireland, they could... If the Germans want to put a pro marker in Ireland, I'll bring an army back and deal with them. Because I don't want to make it easier for the Germans to get it. So I definitely want to put a no event back, but I'm thinking I'm going to put the political failure back, along with the no event, in order to make it be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He'd have a 1 in 9 chance to getting Sweden. There's a 2 in 8 chance after the Germans pull of us getting a pro-Western marker to activate Greece. Yeah, we'll go ahead and put the political failure back. Because political failure won't really hurt the West. I mean, the Germans could bring in Ireland on their side. Okay, fine, go ahead. French North Africa is not adjacent to any British territory, and neither is Vichy, nor Sweden, nor Portugal, nor Ireland, nor the Netherlands, nor Greece. So, yeah, a political failure for the Western Allies or the Russians doesn't matter because they're not adjacent to anything that can be flipped. Cool. So now we're back to declaration of war. And we've been at this hour and a half, so I'm going to wrap this up. It is December of 1942, and it figures it is now fair weather in the warm zone, which is down here around Gibraltar and stuff. Severe in the mild zone, which is up here where the bombing should happen, except I don't have any bombers. So the Germans are like, haha. And then it's poor in the cold zone, which is up in Norway. But I don't have any surprise attack markers to do anything with. I did get my free forces, which might help me defend in Egypt. It is fair in Egypt because that's the desert zone. So I don't think we're going to see the Germans doing any declarations of war. Definitely not from the West, and we're going to see how we can do here. So this is going to be kind of tedious. I may do one more live stream in about a week. And then I think I might, for the next game year or whatever, try to record these offline at different times, and then string them together, release them as sort of a video series afterwards, and see if I can make that work. So we'll see how this all works out. I do appreciate those of you that have been viewing it and been hitting the like button. There's not many, but not many likes anyway. There seems to be a lot of views. I don't know if those are bots that are just hitting my thing or if they're real people. There's not a lot of comments on my videos, so I'm not sure who's watching and when. But for those of that you are, those of you that are, this is Unconditional Surrender in the BGA module, Board Game Arena module for Unconditional Surrender. It does have some limitations. I showed you a couple of them today. But otherwise, I would say it's like, with the exception of a few edge cases, it's like 99% correct. It will make sure that you don't mess up any of the major rules of the game. There are some fringe rules that are just nearly impossible to code correctly. And so there are ways to, circumvent the rule, like that whole eliminate button on an airplane that can fly to some place where it would be in limited supply. The rules say if you can retreat, you must retreat. You can't just say, "Oh, I'm going to get rid of it." You can get rid of it in your no supply phase. You're always allowed to take airplanes and fleets off wherever they may be, but that has to be a conscious decision at that point. You can't do it like in the middle of your turn, which might then leave you space to move some other aircraft there that gets displaced. That kind of thing. Very important in the Middle East, where there's a very few rail lines for the British to put airplanes, and if they have a bunch of airplanes there, by forcing a couple to retreat, and then when you hit the third one or whatever, all of a sudden they don't have a physical space to go, and they would have to be eliminated. So that's why it's important to kind of make sure you play the rules the way they're written, not necessarily as programmed. All right. Anyway, I'm John608. If you like what you see, hit the like button. Helps the algorithm of YouTube. Keeps me motivated to keep doing this. Keep on doing this. If you really like what you see, go ahead and subscribe. Hit the notify button. Then you'll know when I'm going to do the next stream, when I'm scheduling the next stream for, and if I have to change them, which happens from time to time. And also if I'm going to post up any other videos. I do mostly Hex and Counter War games. I have plans to do a couple of other sort of how to use the Vassal interface things. Robert Bracey has some videos linked in the Unconditional Surrender forums on Board Game Arena and also in Board Game Geek in the video section. He has some videos on sort of the basics of how some of the mechanics work here in the BGA Arena, and in general, basic strategy / tactics. Things like supply traps and just a lot of little things that players, they're worth watching, because they will give you insight on what the heck is, why isn't my game so good? And it's usually because you're making some of these kinds of mistakes that he just points out, and it's very, very useful. Okay, I think that's all the commercial stuff I'm going to do. Like I said, this was Unconditional Surrender. It's published by GMT Games. They do have a P500 on this, which means as soon as they get 500 numbers, they will print the third edition, the third printing of it, with any errata that have come up and everything. The rule book will be updated and everything. They're also going to be adding, there was a supplement in C3I magazine. Is it C3I or CS3I? I don't know. There was a supplement done in a gaming magazine where they had a bunch of, there's a whole bunch of what-if counters in this game. You won't see them in the Board Game Arena version because they're not programmed in yet, because they were never in any official scenarios. But there are a whole bunch of what-if, quote-unquote, rules that were written up in a magazine article many, many years ago. I think they've been tweaked a little bit, and those will be included in the new game. So you'll be able to use all those counters with little funny triangles on them and know how to use them. So yeah, go support the game. You know, if you like what you're seeing here, and you don't have a copy of the game, you can go onto GMT's website, order it up for a P500. They don't charge you until it ships. So as soon as they get to 500, then it goes on to the list of, okay, now we're going to print this game, and it goes through their printing process. It may be, I don't know, my game was 9 months from the time that it hit the P500, that it made its 500 on another game I bought of theirs. And it was almost 9 months later before they were shipping it, just because it has to go through their supply chain, situation kind of thing. But they won't even start it down the supply chain until they get to that 500 orders, because it's not cost effective for them. Which I think is a really neat idea. It's like, yeah, if you've got at least 500 people in the world that want your game, then it's probably worthwhile printing it, again, or for the first time. So I really do like that concept. Okay, enough of me babbling. As always, hopefully I'll be back next week sometime. And as always, I'm Gen608. Stay safe. Bye-bye.